Hey there, Dingo Stu here. Today's video is on servicing and rearming these inflatable PFDs and is proudly sponsored by marineengine.com. There's lots of different brands of these inflatable life jackets or PFDs. I think they call them PFDs now because life jacket implied they would save your life, and well, no guarantee of that. It's probably worth at this point saying I'm not a life jacket service technician, I'm not an expert on these, but they do come with instructions clearly titled self-service instructions sort of thing. So they are designed to be something you can look after yourself, even though it is really important they're working should you actually need them. This PFD here was set off by the automatic firing system, and it's been sitting around for ages. It's about time I got it back in action. What I'm going to be going through is rearming it, i.e. putting a new CO2 cylinder in and also putting a new automatic firing mechanism in, and also giving it a bit of a service. Even if you're not rearming a PFD that's been inflated either manually or automatically, it's still well worth going through this sort of inspection service process every 6 months or so. Because this PFD's been lying around the workshop for a while, ever since it got set off, the first thing I do is just give it a little wash down with some water. As with just about everything, a big part of servicing is simply inspection. So as I give this a bit of a clean, I'm just going to cast my eye over everything, make sure that the reflective tape isn't peeling off, that the stitching is good on the webbing's in good condition, that kind of thing. The next thing I do is just blow it up using the oral inflator here. There's no point in putting a new cylinder and a new automatic firing mechanism in it if the bladder itself leaks. So I'm going to blow it up, and then you're supposed to leave it overnight, but I'm not going to. So ideally, if you're going to check it properly, inflate it, leave it overnight, check it in the morning, make sure it hasn't lost any pressure. So interestingly, this was actually quite stiff. The little one-way valve on it was quite stuck. It was quite hard to blow into it until it sort of popped and freed up. So that's something I might actually look at flushing with a bit of fresh water. And it goes to show that just simply using it, inflating it manually every so often is a great way to make sure this actually is working. At this stage you could probably submerge it in water as well and look for bubbles, that kind of thing, but the recommendation is just make sure it holds pressure for 24 hours. Alright, it's been 24 seconds now, so I'm going to call that good. And on the back side of the cap, I'll show you here. On the back side of this cap, there's a little sort of protrusion here, and that is what you can use to deflate it. So you put that in here, and you can deflate it back down. Attached to the oral inflator on this particular brand of life jacket is also a peeless whistle. These are called peeless whistles because they don't have that little sort of ball bearing which is the P in a normal whistle, and because of that they work quite well even when they're wet. Over here on the right hand side inside this protector we've got the CO2 cylinder and the automatic firing mechanism. The CO2 cylinder here is a 33 gram cylinder, and here's the firing mechanism that also has an expiry date on it. So this actually was due to expire March this year anyway, but it's already fired. You can see it's red at the end here, and it's also red here, so we know it's gone off. So I'll unscrew this first. Now when they fire, they actually come forward. This red section internally comes upwards this way, and if you look here, there's one that hasn't fired, and you can see it's actually just very slightly lower than the one here. Also, there's a cap on the end that gets dislodged when it fires, so you can see this one's gone off and this one hasn't. So we'll put that aside, and this is the one we're putting in. As with the firing mechanism, the cylinders just unscrew. If you're just doing a service on these, the things you're looking for is the green indicates to say everything's fine. You're looking for corrosion on the cylinders and nothing's past its expiry date. What you can see here on the end here is this has had the pin fire it, so the pin's gone through the end to open it. This is the new cylinder I'm going to be putting in it, and you can see on the new one the end's still closed, so new one, fired one there. Next thing I do here is just make sure that if this was manually pulled down at all, that it's then clicked all the way back in. That's the position it should be when it's armed. You don't want it sitting out like this at all. So we'll click that in and then wind the firing mechanism in. These new mechanisms are only just put in hand tight, so this is a completely sort of tool-free operation. The idea is you can carry spares on the boat, and if it goes off, you can easily rearm it for your return journey without having to worry about having any special tools with you. So I'll screw this on the end, just making sure it's not cross-threaded. You can see here as I screw this in, this indicator here has returned to green. This here is a 33 gram CO2 cylinder, and once again just double checking we got the right one. And then if we wind this in, as the cylinder here starts to get properly seated, you can see this is starting to go green here as well. A little bit hard with one hand, but there you go. Now we've got green for the cylinder and green for the automatic firing mechanism. Now I've got a second hand free, I'm just going to tighten this up a little bit. Not looking to crank it, it's all plastic, but just getting it so it's snug. You don't want to see a gap, you don't want it winding loose with vibration. Now that's done, I'm just going to tuck these with instructions over and then do up the Velcro with a little protective cover. Now I'm going to repack it into its outer casing. To do that I need it completely deflated. I let a lot of the air out before, but I'm just going to give it another go just to make sure it's completely empty. These jackets all fold up in a reasonably similar way. Some are a bit different. Some sort of talk about going under on one side, over on the other. The instructions for this one say fold under on both sides. It's pretty hot today, so this is actually very dry already. But if you have given it a wash, make sure it is completely dry before you put it back in the cover, because you don't want it wet in there, get moldy, and that will start to deteriorate everything. This jacket also has fold lines. You see fold 1, fold 2, and then up here you've got fold 5 and 6. So they're the 6 folds we're going to be doing to get this back into its cover. In the case of this jacket, it recommends folding the sides both under, so that's what I'll do. This side under and then this side under. Then this actually looks like it needs to be flipped over. The reason I've flipped this one over is that's how the cover's attached, and it's going to be easier to put it into its cover this way around. I'm going to work over to the other side now just to get both sides in the cover. As you do the cover up, you want the pull cord for the manual inflation to be outside the jacket. You don't want that stuck inside. So I'm going to have that coming out. Then when I get to the top, this one rolls over once, then twice back, and then we'll start doing the top section up. It's a little bit fiddly, but you'll get it. As we get to the final section here, we need to get the Velcro for the harness in the right place, so I'll show you that as well. As we come across here and do this top section up, we'll see the harness here has some Velcro on it. It's got a rough side here and a smooth side here, and then the jacket here has got a smooth side here and a rough side here. So it'll all bind together with the rough side, smooth side, rough side, smooth side. And that's what I'm going to do as I do it up around here. I can actually see on this one the Velcro's come away where it's stitched to the jacket's cover. That's the sort of thing you're looking for when you do your service. I don't consider that bad enough to decommission this life jacket, but I'll leave it up to you what you see and whether you think it's going to seriously affect the performance of the jacket on the water. When it's finished, I'll just kind of settle it into the cover just to make sure it's sitting nicely, and then it's pretty much good to go. These jackets, you've got the cover on the front, the straps in the back. All you need to do is put your arms through it, and then you can pop it on that way and clip it up. So they're pretty quick and easy to put on. When it's on, I know it's all good to go. I know it's holding pressure. The harness is still in good condition. Got the manual inflator easily accessible on the right hand side. Got the new cylinder in and the new automatic firing mechanism in. So pretty much ready to go. This one did get set off by rain. It was sitting undercover in the boat, but just enough water was getting into the casing, dribbling in. Eventually it filled, it went off. For me, it's a fine line between keeping it somewhere dry and keeping it somewhere accessible. This particular style I like because they are pretty comfortable to wear. There's actually been a few times I've had it on, got to the house and gone, oh, I forgot to take it off. That's how comfortable they really are. And to me, that's sort of a really good indication of the fact that you don't even really notice you're wearing them. So I think a life jacket wearing is the best one, but if you're not going to wear it, try and find somewhere where it's out of the elements, away from UV, not going to get rained on, but you can still grab it really quickly if you need to. Well, that pretty much wraps up this video. I've decided a bit of a day of doing maintenance on everything, so I'm going to go through. I've been doing some maintenance on fishing reels, and I'm even going to take my rigs apart, my scuba rigs, and fix those up. Alright, take care, and I'll catch you soon. See ya.